Hi everyone, Queeveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to be looking ahead to the end of February to the Parade of Planets, but we will be doing so from a few other latitudes. So I generally show the sky as it would be seen from here in Ireland because that is where I am, but it's easy for me to forget that this quite northerly latitude is far from the most populous latitude. There are a lot more people living closer to the tropics. So if the Parade of Planets is going to be particularly difficult for us to see here in Ireland, that certainly doesn't mean it's going to be difficult for the majority of people. So we're going right down here to southern Europe, or Northern Africa, this kind of area down by the Mediterranean. That's also going to cover a lot of the United States. A lot of the more populous cities in the United States are on a similar latitude. Also going through here, Ireland. Parts of Ireland are further north than the northernmost part of China. The south of Ireland is about level with the northernmost part of China. So we can see there that's going over across the top, and the less populated part of Japan as well. Coming down to here, some of the larger Chinese cities, and of course Tokyo, one of the largest cities in the world, one of the most populated regions. They're all along here. So just by going down in the latitude a few degrees here, 20 degrees, a little bit less, the amount of people who would be seeing the sky from this latitude is far, far greater than the amount of people who would be seeing the sky from the latitude that we're at here in Ireland, even in the south of Ireland. So sunset's just starting. We're here on the 26th. The 26th should be about right, but of course there is that bush there. Okay, so there's Mercury. We'll start taking a closer look here. I want to come down a little bit. There's Saturn. And there we go, Saturn and Mercury. Mercury's definitely visible. Saturn, a little bit tricky from here. But of course, if you really want to see the Parade of Planets, you do need to get out to the coast. So we are going to get rid of the ground, at least as much as I can. I think that it may be best to just go with the zero horizon. Of course, this is, landscape that just covers the area below the mathematical horizon. So this is sort of perfect, even in a real flat location. And by a real flat location, I mean an actually existing location that is flat, not a location that is really flat. A real flat location. It's still really not going to be this flat. I mean, no ocean is perfectly still. Even large lakes, the wind blowing over them will pick up waves along the way. But from this perfect, clear view, we can definitely see Saturn and Mercury there. In fact, let's zoom back out. Naked eye, if your eyes are good, we're here at just 20 past 6, and Saturn doesn't actually kiss the horizon there until 20 to 7. So we've got a good 20 minutes, which of course isn't that long. But that 20 minutes gives us a chance to see Saturn and Mercury. Though all of the other planets you'll be able to see for quite a lot longer, Jupiter and Mars for most of the night, Venus for hours. So as long as you catch Mercury and Saturn there at the start, you can kind of relax, you can kind of take your time and catch the other planets along the way. We're seeing that there as it would be seen from a city, and of course one of the reasons I pushed down in latitude was to get to a more populous latitude, and people generally live in cities. There are fewer people with a sky like this regardless of the latitude, but we'll push ahead a little bit. Saturn's coming out there at just 6:15, and of course it's still not going to kiss the horizon until about 20 to 6:45. So we've got more like half an hour instead of 20 minutes. Because there is a limit to how much light pollution can help. If something is very close to the horizon, if something is very faint, it's not going to be in the sky for very long. But that extra 10 minutes can make the difference. That extra 10 minutes can be very useful. And especially because this mathematically perfect horizon just isn't quite real. So the extra 10 minutes that you're getting compared to the 20 minutes you would have from an area with light pollution, the ground is going to be eating in on the end side of those few minutes. So you might only have 10 minutes really if you're from the city. You might have 15 if you're in the countryside, because you'll be able to see it that little bit higher in the sky. The extra time you're getting isn't, a lower horizon. We're keeping the horizon the same. The extra time you're getting is higher in the sky when it's a little bit better to observe. Of course, if you're using a telescope or binoculars, you really want it to be this close to the horizon. You want it to be as dark as possible for the sake of your eyes and your telescope. Even if you are pretty close to, if you are at this latitude, pointing a telescope at Saturn there might not be the safest thing to do. If you're careful, if you take precautions, it should be fine, but do keep safety in mind. And we're seeing them here. Yeah, there's Saturn and Mercury, nice and clear. Kind of, well, it's tagging Iapetus there, but you might actually see Titan just barely. Of course, with all of this light in the sky, it's going to be very, very difficult, and you would need a very wide-angle telescope to see both of those things at the same time. Of course, it's going to be better if you're actually at the equator. You know, we're still 30-odd degrees away from the equator here. We can go significantly lower without hitting the equator, just here level with North Africa. So this is level with the southern part of the United States, including such big population centers as, you know, the cities they have in California and Florida, the top of Mexico as well there, all through the Middle East. Of course, there's some big population centers around here as well, and North India. There's some big population centers in North India and Southeast Asia, maritime Southeast Asia, this kind of region as well. We're still not at the equator, but we are closer, and that is going to make a difference. Look at that. So we can see Saturn there much, much higher in the sky. We're still looking at the sky here without any light pollution, so I'll fix that. I'll make it worse by adding back in the light pollution, so these things are a little bit harder to see. A little bit harder to see does make it a little bit more realistic for most people, unfortunately. You know, hopefully that's a problem we can solve in the future. So Saturn's just coming visible there. I'll give it a little bit longer. There's a little bit of a dot there at just 6:30. But because we are closer to the equator now, it should stay above the horizon for a little bit longer. Oh, it's getting extinct by the atmosphere there at 10:02. But even with the glow of light pollution, about 5:45, a few minutes does make a difference here. So we'll say 5:45 just to be safe. It is definitely still above the horizon there. It hasn't been extincted by the atmosphere combined with the light pollution, because of course they are both problems when you're in a city. The extinction of the atmosphere is going to be a problem everywhere, but you add light pollution on top of that and things may disappear just a little bit higher off the horizon. Here we go. So it does actually, maybe from higher latitudes this issue would not be as obvious, but definitely from here closer to the equator, going out into the countryside doesn't just get you extra time at the start. It doesn't just cause the object to appear earlier. It can resist the extinction of the atmosphere for longer because it's not also competing with light pollution. Now again, that's only going to be a factor if you have a really perfect horizon, if you're in a really flat area or at the western coast. Or of course, if you're up very high, I may also demonstrate the difference that height can make. If you're up on a mountain, it does sort of make the horizon, functionally lower for you. You should get to see a little bit more. If I have time, I'll try and check that out. But there we are, Saturn and Mercury, popping up there at about 20 past, but staying with us until about 10:02. So we're still getting about a half an hour there when we're in the countryside compared to, the 15-20 minutes when we're in the city. I would be expecting slightly longer from the equator, but we're not quite at the equator yet. So let's get all the way down to the equator, which is around here. Still a couple of degrees off. That will do. I'm not a full degree off. I'm only a few minutes off. After degrees, you've got minutes and seconds in this system of measurement, at least. We're still in the countryside. Let's bring those back up and hop back, I should say, back into a city. We'll bring up that light pollution just to something like Cork City, to kind of split the difference. I know that most large population centres suffer from a lot more light pollution than a little city like Cork. Here we are. It's still later. We're just there at about 6:30. And we're getting Saturn and Mercury, and they're staying with us until just about 7 o'clock. Very nearly 7 o'clock. Saturn getting extincted by the atmosphere just before 7. If you are from the city. So it is popping out a little bit later, but we're also getting to see it in the sky until a little later. So I guess it balances out. We're still seeing it for about half an hour. Well, 20 minutes, half an hour there from the city. Pushing out to the countryside. I know Saturn's already clearly visible there. We can push it a little bit back. Saturn coming visible just about 6:30 as a little dot, and we'll push forward, and Saturn doesn't quite get extincted by 7, so it's a full half hour there. Significantly better than what we'd get to see from Cork City. So here it is, clearly visible, comfortably above this perfect zero horizon. If we turn around there, we've got Jupiter, Mars, Venus, Saturn, Mercury, and of course Neptune up around there, and Uranus up around there. All visible, comfortably visible in the sky. Now, I don't change this very often, so I'm not entirely sure how to change it, although height is a factor. How high you are off the ground affects your view. The higher you are off the ground, the further you can view, the lower sort of your horizon. But it is not something I change particularly often. So I may have to have a dig around for it, but given how long it took to hop through those latitudes, it is perhaps best saved for a different time. So that is a view for the upcoming parade of planets if you are a little bit closer to the equator, just in case I know some of my viewers are closer to the equator, so this might approximate your chances of seeing it a little bit better, because our chances of seeing it in Ireland aren't particularly good. Next time, or maybe the time after that, we will take a look at how height can affect your view of the horizon. I do still have a couple of weeks before the parade of planets, so I should get a chance to show that before it actually happens. Do like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you'd like a better chance of being notified about these upcoming videos. You can also take a look at my website, queebeanscontent.ie, where you can read some of this information, and regardless of anything else, hopefully I'll see you back here next time.